Hello, friends. Hello, everyone. Welcome back. My name is Lady Cailleach, and today I'm going to be doing my 64th video on the Cailleach. So, who is the Cailleach? What is she about? She's also called the Cailleach in Ireland, and a plural name for her would be the Cailleach. Cailleach. The Kali. No, Kali. Almost like the goddess Kali. And the Cailleach is actually different entities, different spirits. But when we talk about the Cailleach, we like to kind of as if they're one. And there's misconceptions about her. Some of them unintentional, some of them more intentional. And I would like to discuss who she really is. Oh my God, beanbag. Cat's beanbag. Oh God, she's not letting us see. That's one of my other images I like to use for the Cailleach. Cailleach, her name has different meanings, but it really means witch and hag, old lady. It's not a flattering term for an old lady. Basically, you don't want to go to some old lady and call her Cailleach. It's not the worst thing you can say, but it's like going up to some woman and say, "Hey, hag." You know, unless she wants to call herself a hag, that's different. Another term for old man is bodak. Bodak. And who she hangs out with, the bodak, the old man. And here she is. Lady boss, why did you leave? She left us. She left us. So, Cailleach also has the etymology of veiled. And it's kind of a little bit reaching for this one, the veiled one. And old ladies wore veils. Also in the Christian times, a married woman would wear a veil. And also nuns. So, but that was more in a later time. And Cailleach she's not the creator of the earth. She is a creator entity, deity, but she's not the creator of the world. She's said to create Scotland. She's also said to create the landscapes. She did some landscaping there with the rocks. And there is different stories of how there's different landscapes and the different Cailleach. There's even a story of two Cailleachs, the Cailleachs, and how they got into a fight and they decided to meet one morning, and they each had a pile of stones. One was smart, she threw a few stones and she still missed, while the other Cailleach threw stones at her, big stones. We're not talking about little pebbles, we're talking about big stones, boulders, and hit her. So when the other Cailleach realized she was out of rocks, the other Cailleach pretty much threw so many stones at her, she covered her, but the Cailleach that got hurt just fell on the ground, and the townspeople came and they kind of felt sorry for her. Now the Cailleach is said to be really gigantic, that she's a giant. In Wales, she's a giant. And that it's sort of like the Norse Jotun or the Greek Titans. She's said to be giant. Her time is coming upon us, which is Samhain. Today is October 21st. Samhain is around the corner. By the way, did anyone see the new Halloween movie? I did. I love it. I love horror movies. Halloween Kills. Great movie. Go see it. Mikey on the big screen. Anyways, Halloween is Samhain. Samhain meant summer's end. In these lands of Scotland and Ireland, and around the lands there, Samhain was called summer's end. You had two seasons, summer and winter. Well, obviously, from Samhain to Beltane, you had winter. From Beltane to Samhain, you had summer. So this is the Cailleach's time. Now, as we know, it begins on October 31st. But the veil is the thinnest when Scorpio's in the 15th degree. And that's around, I think, November 4th this time. I think last year was around November 6th. So it depends. There was one time it was actually hit November 7th. So you'd have to do some astrological research for that. But I believe, yeah, it's around November 4th. However, Samhain wasn't just celebrated for one day. In some places, it was almost a whole month it was celebrated. Samhain was the third and final harvest. It's spelled Samhain, but it's pronounced Samhain. In some places, Samhain. But anyways, the next day was considered Hag's Day. I mean, the Banshee Day, sorry. The Banshee Day. The Day of the Banshees. And the Night of the Banshees. Ooh. And the spirit that she's attributed to is, of course, the fairy spirit is the Banshee, just like the Morrigan. And sometimes Morrigan is said to be the Cailleach, which is, she becomes an old lady, but, close but no cigar. The Cailleach, if you can't do the Cailleach, has, depending on where you're from, she has some different stories, but there is also always the same theme. Her numbers are 7 and 50. 7. She is said to have 7 youthful times. 7 husbands. And she had with her 7 husbands 50 sons, and they became the progenitor of different tribes. So she was considered like the grandma of life, of the grandma of humans. The grandma, she was also considered like almost like the grandma of deities. She was there way before the Celts got there, and they integrated her into their pantheon and worship. She's an ancient spirit. It is said that she remembers when the land was oceans and seas, and the oceans and seas were land. That's how old she was. Now, in Samhain, during this time, she becomes the young, youthful goddess becomes the old crone. Her color is yellow. It's also, yeah, I know, yellow. I'm like, what the hell? But seriously, it's yellow. But it's also other colors: white for the snow, grays for the her, not just her hair, but also the skies, black, blue, and the color of bruises. Her skin is said to be blue and black, bluish black. Her teeth, what teeth she has, are crooked and jagged and red like rust. She is said to have matted gray hair. She doesn't wear anything flattering. Her clothes are rugged and dirty. She is to have a crooked nose and a long chin and bony, arthritic fingers, long fingernails like claws. She has one eye, and that eye is as cold as ice, piercing as ice, but as quick as a mackerel in the lake. Her elements are definitely earth. She deals a lot with stones and the rocks and stones, but also she has a lot of association with water, so her other element is water. She deals with wells. Her stories involves wells, lakes, rivers, and large bodies of water. Her other element, like in the Norse, we would say, like in the Norse, there's an element of ice. So if you want to add that, we have ice, frozen water, and frost and snow. She is a witch and goddess of sorcery and witchcraft. She's a goddess of herbalism, and she's the goddess of spinsters. She's the goddess of weaving and spinning. So this goddess, she is dark. She's very dark. She's not the most approachable one. It is the wise one who knows she does have an attitude. She's not always good, but she's not evil. I mean, she's not always bad. This is a goddess that when you fuck up, she will smack a table, possibly smack you in the head with a 2x4 and tell you to fix it. But fix it. That's how she is. She could be very curt. She doesn't sugarcoat anything. She tells it like it is, and she could tell. And she has a tongue like a whip. She'll cut deep. She's fierce and not to be played with. In Britain, she's known as Black Annis. She's also called Cailleach Moor. Cailleach Moor for great Cailleach. She's the witch of harsh winter. She brings on the storm. She's a goddess of the weather. She's said to have a rope, and it has 3 knots. She doesn't untie it. It's fair weather. When she unties one knot, you have a nice breeze. Comfortable breeze. The second knot she unties will be a wind. Maybe not so comfortable. But when she unties the 3rd knot, it will be a harsh, powerful storm. A winter storm. We've seen what these winter storms can do up north in America. In my country here. She's the goddess of ice and snow. In fact, she is the one, when she cries tears of ice and snow and frost. She is said around, around January and February when it gets really bad. She is in the sky. She rides on the back of a black wolf. She's in white, and she's dreadful. And with it comes the roar of the storms. And she brings the snowstorms and horrible weather. She is called a Carlin, as well as a Carling, which again means witch. Sometimes it's also known as wise woman, but it's witch. She is sometimes a harbinger of doom. Ooh. She is a goddess of soothsayers. Her tree is holly and gorse, especially holly. That's her sacred plant. She's known as the little sun, the little Guion. So you had two suns. You had little sun and you had big sun. The little sun was the winter sun, and the big sun was the summer sun. Her time is the night, the shadows, the time of shadows. The dark half of the year. She reigns the dark half of the year. She carries with her the slakdan, which is her staff. And when she taps the ground, the land becomes ice and white. She brings death to the land. She brings snow. She causes animals to go into hibernation. Wherever she sees life, she brings it to be covered with snow. She brings rest and repose to nature. She is the dark part of nature. She is nature turned old. And sometimes we see that the goddess, when she is displeased by the king, she turns herself into a hag. And when she's pleased, she turns herself into a beautiful young maiden. And we hear about how she locked up the beautiful breed in the tower in which her son Angus Magog has to rescue her. Here's the thing though. There is a story that was told about how she captures a young maiden, and she makes the maiden work and clean her plate in the river until the maiden's hands are rough and raw and bleeds, and then a young warrior must save her. Here's the thing, a young hero. Donald Mackenzie, in his book, which was written in 1917, was called The Wonder Stories, the myths and legends of Scotland. Now what he did was, he just put some pieces of stories together and he made it kind of his own, and then people took it as canon. Okay? And he turned the maiden into Bridget, and the hero in the Angus Magog. So what he did was take pieces of stories and put it together and made it his own. That's how we get, like, she goes after Bridget. That's what if you have incorporated this into your belief, fine. I'm not gonna put you down. That's your belief. I'm just going to tell you where it comes from. And Donald Mackenzie wrote these books for women and children. He wanted to ooh and ah, and he had to make it good. So, as winter wanes, and the sun starts to grow and wax again, she becomes younger. In some stories that in the beginning of Samhain, she's a crone. During midwinter, she becomes a mother, and then towards summer, she becomes more of a maiden. There's other stories that when summertime comes, she turns into a big, gigantic boulder, a big rock. However, the rock is always moist because it has her life energy in it. And when it's her time, she comes back to the crone. Now, you could still call her in the summer, of course, in the spring. I mean, she lives within all of us. There is no part of me that is not of the gods. Remember that from Crowley? And look who we have back. We have little Boo. Say hello to Lady Bost. That's Lady Bost. Now, we got this wonderful oracle card. And I'm trying. Here it is. The Dark Goddess Oracle cards. You can get it on. You can get it online at eBay or Amazon. So we have the Cailleach, endurance. And does she endure? She teaches that. So we got the Cailleach, who teaches endurance. She teaches patience. She's older than time, as one would say. In fact, there's a story. It was more some of these stories come in Christian times. There was an old lady, and some people were getting annoyed at her, and they sent a priest, and a priest, and he had it with him with a servant. And the father demanded the Cailleach to tell him how old she was. She goes, I don't know. I know I'm old. I've seen time come and go. She was telling about how she remembers when land was sea and the waters were land. And he still wanted to know. And she said, well, for each year I eat a bullock and I throw one bone up into the upper part of our home, the attic. So he sent his assistant, and he was counting and counting and counting and counting and counting and counting and counting, fast forward and counting and counting, fast forward and counting and counting and counting. And the father got upset and he left. But sometimes they say, oh, the guy is still counting. Now she also has a magic hammer. And with this hammer, grasping it in her right hand, her black magic hammer, she could smash into the earth, but she also can cause thunder and lightning with this hammer. Sort of like Thor with his hammer, Mjolnir. So her days. So Samhain, definitely Samhain. Also March 25th, which was called Cailleach Day, but now it's called Lady Day. Interesting, until the 17th century, till it was ended. To the 17th century, Scotland celebrated New Year's on March 25th. So New Year's was dedicated to the Cailleach. And interesting, before it was called Scotland, it was called Caledonia. It was said to be sort of like from Cailleach, Caledonia, which Cailleach created. Oh gosh, there are so many stories about the Cailleach. So her animals, be ready, definitely the deer. She says to have them under her protection. And she allowed them to be culled when they ate a blue piece of yarn. Also the wolf, the owl, gray goats, but especially gray goats, swine, especially black swine, cattle, ravens, crows, and our favorite, cats. Little Boo is sacred to Cailleach. And we said Lady Boss. So, like I said, her main herbs are definitely holly and gross. But also other things have been associated with her throughout time. You know, like hazelnuts, witch hazel, elder, and even the yew. But her main one is holly and gross. Also, along with the soap, like I said, the colors, like I said, yellow, gray, color of any bruises, blue, black, whites, as well as silver. I forgot silver. Sorry. Her moon is definitely waning moon and the dark moon, especially the dark moon. New moon, not the crescent new moon, but the dark moon, dark of the moon. Her stones would definitely that you want to attribute to her are definitely rough stones, stones that have like that are moist, boulders, gray agate, shells, the holy stone, which is also called a hag stone. That's a stone with a natural hole in it. Little pebbles, rough stones. Now, the holy stone is said to be a portal stone. Now, you take the stone, you can use it for meditation to help you see the fae folk, or the will-o'-the-wisps, the fairy spirits. But also is used for portals of energy, and you can use it for a good luck stone. And another thing what you can do is you can empower your stone, put threading or yarn through the hole and hang it above your door so that good things come to your home to bring in good luck. You can carry it with you to keep yourself protected and also use it in good luck. So any stones with a hole in it is sacred to the Cailleach. Her symbols: rocks, boulders, stones, snow, ice, frost, icicles, the bare earth, hills, mountains, the Cailleach. It's a whirlpool that you can find in Scotland. It's called the Cailleach, which is dedicated to the Cailleach and is our sacred place. Hammers, staffs, dead leaves, dark moon, bones and skulls, fossils, any fossils. I should have said that with the stones. So forgive me. I don't write anything down. Fossils, any tools of witchcraft and divination tools, places where you will find her. Where can you find a Cailleach? Graveyards, funeral homes. She'll be found in the wilderness, the icy wilderness, mountains, rocky places, megalithic temples, ruins. Not ruins, but ruins. Old places. Wells, lakes, streams, and rivers. Marshes. Even the ocean. Standing stones. I'm not kidding. Retirement homes. Anywhere you find old people is where you'll find her. It's like Century 21 Village. I'm not being silly either. She represents for women the crone aspect. I'm a crone. I'm 50. Especially when you're no longer, when you're going through menopause, and after menopause, it's also the crone phase, when you no longer bleed. She represents grandmas, an elder woman of the craft. As well, the bodach will represent the elder men of the craft, and the grandfathers, and the old men who've gone through andropause. Some men go through. One of her husband was named Boy, B-U-I. Remember I told you yellow, which his name actually Boy means yellow. Boy. She's also called Boy too. Yellow. There's a story that she remembers. The great biblical flood. She remembers that time. It is said that she carries boulders in her apron. And when her apron straps break, the boulders fall in place, and there we see like lines and lines of boulders in some places. Then it was changed into the devil, with the devil and his apron strings, and they broke. And it is said that when the Cailleach comes to the hero, it's the hero that will kiss her that's brave enough to accept her. And when they give her a kiss of what she wants, she turns into a young, beautiful, attractive bombshell of a lady. We're talking supermodel looking. That any man would fawn over. That she would make the perfect, beautiful bride. Can you accept the goddess who is old and ugly? Of course, I'm going to go a little bit into Hinduism. Of course, we can accept Sarasvati, the beautiful Lakshmi, right? And the beautiful Radha, right? And Parvati. You can like want to kiss her lips, right? Hold her. But do you want to kiss the lips, the bloody lips of Kali? Would you kiss the crone, Dhumavati? How about the headless goddess Chinnamasta? Can you kiss the headless, bloodied Chinnamasta with the blood spurting out of her neck? Ah, you must accept the goddess. To really truly love the goddess, you must accept her in all her forms. We see that people would run from the Cailleach. She represents the darkness. But we must accept our darkness. If we run from it, we run from ourselves. Oh, she agrees. She said, accept Cailleach. You accept? Okay. But you're so cute. Now the Cailleach, if you accept her and give her that kiss, she will bring you bountiful things. It is said that she becomes a beautiful lady that you marry. She gives you a gift of, she gives sovereignty. Gives you power, and she teaches you great secrets. But if you don't accept her, you don't get those things. Remember Neil of the 9 hostages, where it was Fergus who kissed the Cailleach, and she became a beautiful lady. You may want to look that up. So she also lives in deep caves. The underworld. The underworld. She deals with the dead and spirits and ghosts, and goblins and ghouls. She deals with the dead in the caves. You can find her at caves too. She is the shadows. She represents the shadowy realm. Ooh. Oh, don't get scared, Lady Boss. And she's cuddling up with the Cailleach. I accept you, Cailleach. So Cailleach loves the wild animals and the domesticated animals. You can use her to help with anything to do with animals. Now it is said that when you hunt, you're supposed to give thanks to the animals. And it's said that there's an old lore that if you don't give thanks to the animals, then the Fae can take portion of your hunt. That they can take possession, so you must give thanks. There is stories about her lamenting, about how she accepts her old age and how she remembers her youth and beauty, and all that is gone. And all she is old and ugly and by herself, and she cries snow. So the Cailleach represents, we sometimes women fight against the old age because men grow old gracefully and women just grow old. We see older men with younger women, not with older women, and that women, especially women and the disabled, as they get older or invisible. I can tell you back, oh gosh, what was it, 2008? I had my knee surgery, or 2009, and I was with a walker. I swear it's like no one saw me. People banged into me with their carts and everything, and I could be wearing makeup, beautiful dress, beautiful jewelry. Oh, they slept. I was like my friend. One time I was with my friend. He says, "It's as if you're invisible." I said, "Yeah, I know. I could probably rob a bank and no one would see me." I'm not saying I would rob a bank, but that kind of thing. No, did you see this person? No, the person was invisible. And it's times I'm crossing the streets, like the car didn't see me. It's like, what the fuck? I'm 5'2.5". I'm not too short. I know my ass is close to the sidewalk, pavement, but I'm not that short. So it's fucked up. Women get discarded. It's how the patriarchs see Cailleach as something evil. She's independent. She's strong. She can work hard. She's powerful. Ugh, she's a witch. She's bad news. Bad luck, that one, huh? And that's how the patriarch would see that. She wasn't, when she was written into the patriarch, her stories were written into that as the devil. Or just an old witch. An old bitchy witch. So her aspects and attributes that we can call for her represent storms. Also, some people attribute her from the autumn equinox to the spring equinox is the Cailleach. That's a more of a newer, from autumn equinox to the spring equinox is her time. But I like to see it Samhain. Of course, nighttime, winter, fall and winter. I mean, the winter's our time now, is fall and winter. We have four seasons. She represents death, acceptance of death, to remember the good times, and to accept the acceptance of age. The acceptance we're all going to grow old. She represents the elders and the elders of the craft. You can use antiques on her altar. Antiques are a good representation for the Cailleach, like an antique vase, an antique model car, an antique toy, even antique guns, anything antique. Hardships and overcoming hardships, endurance, stability, being rock solid, strength. Oh, is she strong? She represents nature, the cold, the wind, and the seas, as well as harvest. She was a goddess she was worshipped for a good harvest. In fact, so a lot of people say, she in ancient times in Scotland and Ireland, she represented corn. Yeah, nah. Corn wasn't corn came from, in quotation, the New World. It wasn't introduced in Europe till around 1493, or right around 1493 and 1494. Okay? And that was brought back by Columbus and his cohorts. Corn. We didn't have corn. Yeah, what about the corn dollies? Trust me, we didn't have corn. It was called a corn dolly, but it was originally made with wheat. And by the way, the original jack-o'-lantern wasn't originally carved in pumpkins. That wasn't until much later times. It was originally turnips. Look that up. And that's hard to do, making jack-o'-lanterns into turnips. However, so she represents the harvest and the first wheat, because they would make a dolly out of it. And the first farmer who got the harvest done would make a dolly and throw it into their neighbor's yard. And so each farmer would take it, and when they were done with the harvest, they would throw it into the neighbor's yard. And the sucker, who was the last person to harvest their fields, got to keep the Cailleach all winter long. And they said it was bad luck because the Cailleach was unpredictable, grumpy, grouchy, and he had to feed her. They had to feed her. They had to take care of her. They had to, keep her comfortable, keep her warm. And basically, when a farmer saw that they were bringing the dolly, they would literally want to beat them with switches and actually strip them naked. They didn't want that shit. So it was a burden for the farmer to bring from one farmer to another. The Cailleach, here you go. So they would make corn dollies. So corn dollies can also be used to represent the Cailleach. Now there is also a story that, don't know how old it is. It probably was by Donald Mackenzie, but Bridget would give her the staff, and the staff would turn from green to white. And then when Cailleach gives back the staff to Bridget, it would turn from white to green. So it says that the Cailleach would fight summer, that she liked the winter, and when she lost, she turned into stone. It's a lot of these stories will always she'll turn into stone, and a big gold boulder. Or she gets upset at something, like how Lake Awe was created, Loch Awe. She was a keeper of the wells, and she would undo the lid of the well. And one day she went too far. She was with her goats. She was herding her goats, and she took a nap, and she woke up, and she went back, and she saw that the well overflowed and turned into a big river and into the lake, and under the lake was a village of people, and they drowned. Their animals, the people drowned, the homeless got washed out, and she was so upset at herself that she turned into a big rock. There's also Lake Loch Ness, when she had a girl named Nessa take care of the wells, and she went too far, and that it turned into a loch. And of course she was afraid of the Cailleach, and she rightfully so, she was punished, and Nessa was continued to run, and that's how we got Loch Ness. Not Loch Ness Monster, it's just that we live in there, but Loch Ness. So there are suggestions that there was an ancient priestess cult, ancient Cailleach priestess cult, and a major part of tribal groups brought her the honor and worship, and how they revered with them, and how it was suggested that a supernatural being had been formed, and also had his own priesthood following of the Bulldog. So she's tied into also the deer cult, the deer woman, deer goddess. I'm not talking about the deer woman of Native American. I'm not talking about that spirit. So she has. So there was talk about priestess cult. Some people like to dismiss it, that there was a deer priestess cult. Now McKay wrote in 1932, I want to say, 1932. It was titled The Deer Cult and the Deer Goddess Cult of Ancient Caledonians. So he put in that there was an ancient priestess cult in Scotland who they were associated with the care and protection of deer herds, where they actually herded deer. He gives McKay gives the name of the Cailleach Mór Namfiat, or the Cailleachian, the Cailleach cult. Cailleach Mór means the Great Cailleach. He suggested that a group of 7 Cailleachs, Cailleach, giant women from Jura protected these deer herds. So he also puts forth in his book that there was an island of Big Woman, which was near the middle of Loch Nambonmora. Of course, can only be accessed by stepping stones that were so far apart that only the giants, the Cailleach, can use them. So, the Cailleach, Oh, she could be used for cursing. Oh, yes. Cursing and protection. Banishing and bindings. Vengeance. And to get your pound of flesh and to take your pound of flesh from someone. So she represents the fertility. She was the harvesting of the land, a good harvest, and people would go to this big stones, certain stones, and they would leave offerings from their harvest to her, bread and butter. They would give her wheat, and either later on, when corn was introduced, when people still held on to the pagan cult, believe, especially, but they would just, So those are some offerings that you could give to her. So bread and butter, or good offerings. Corn and wheat. Give her muffins and cakes. Chocolate. Always likes chocolate. There are some people that tell stories that you don't give her meat because she might get angry thinking that you killed her herd. So people she loves liquor. She loves good, strong spirits. People give her that now. They give her scotch and whiskey and rum, red wine. Red wine to represent blood. Give her honey and honey cakes. Fruits and vegetables. Jack-o'-lanterns. Pumpkins. Pumpkin pie. It's a season for pumpkin pie. Cookies. Nuts and seeds. And grains of all kinds. Even the bowl of cereal with milk or without milk. Any type of milk. You can even give her the vegan milk, the hemp milk, oat milk, multigrain milk, almond milk. Or you can give her regular milk, goat milk, cheeses. She likes cheese. They gave her cheese too. You can give her goat cheese, you can give her Parmesan cheese, mozzarella cheese, cheddar cheese. Why not? Mix it up some. Give her a whole cheese tray. I had a chant for her that I use. Old woman, dark mother, goddess of the black earth. Old woman, dark mother, goddess of the black earth. Old woman, dark mother, goddess of the black earth. When she comes, her energy is very thick and strong. And she literally comes as a ball of black. It's like this black ball. Not like an empty portal. But this reminds me of an obsidian ball. Just sitting, just floating in the air. And it's really, really darker than the dark room. And she's got a cold energy about her. And in my rituals, I say, see yourself as getting old and gnarled. Hell, if you have dentures, take them out. Partials or dentures, that's even better. Show those missing teeth, those gaps in the teeth. Bring on your crone. Bring on your bulldog. Your old sage, the old wise man. Brooms are also associated with her. You can use magic with the brooms. You can even curse someone with the brooms, or we say besoms. You can curse someone when you sweep the floor. And you do it with energy and an intention. Tap someone on the foot. Just visualize all that dirt hitting them and just give them some bad mojo. Now in hoodoo, the perfect way to have the broom, besom, it is said that keeping it like this would be bad luck. Keeping the broom like this would be good luck. She also deals with the nightmare hag, the hag writing. She cackles like a witch. Oh gosh, I'm 55 minutes into this. It feels like I've only been talking for like 20. As you see, we have the storms here. Lightning and thunder deals with her. Remember that. Stones, hail will deal with her. Literally hailstones and sleet. She represents the old pagan ways. Definitely the old ways, old ways. She represents things that time has neglected, where people have neglected, like old, well, I went over the old standing in ruins. She also represents sadness, being abandoned and alone. The winter blues, the seasonal affective disorder, I believe it's called SAD. Another thing is, she's also said that she would pay men if they can outwork her, and they see this old bent old gnarled woman and they took her on, but she had a magic beetle hidden, and she used this. Well, she would outwork any man, and the men would be worked to death. They would die trying to outwork her. But one man found the beetle, and he tricked her. And she was impressed. She wasn't angry. She actually took him in and taught her the secrets of weaving and spinning, and the secrets of herbs, and her deep secrets of witchcraft and magic and power. Candles. What candles do you want to use? Black, gray, and silver. Also, you can also use yellow as well. So, I'm just trying to think of that yellow book. The yellow book of oh shoot, Levkar, something like that. It's actually deals with the Cailleach. So let me talk and I'll remember. So the book that you want to get on her is Pagan Portals by Rachel Patterson. It's a Pagan Portals publication. You can find that on Amazon.com. There's also another book, and It's called Visions of the Cailleach. It's by David Rankine and Sarita Deste. Another one that you can find on Amazon. So I've been talking for a little bit over an hour, so I want to thank you for watching this video. If you like this, please give me a like, thumbs up. If you didn't, give me a thumbs down. Please subscribe. Thank you for all your kind comments. And if you like this video, please feel free to donate to the WWF, the World Wildlife Foundation, that helps nature and animals, and do that in honor of the Cailleach. And we have little Boo. She wants to thank you for watching too. Lady Boss is happy that you watched this video. Look how sweet she is. So anyways, as always, blessed be. Feel free to please share this video with your friends and family and group. Thank you.